Hey you guys, so in case you couldn't tell by the title of this vlog, How I Broke My Hand, this is a vlog about how I broke my hand. I talked about it in my last vlog, poached eggs on airplanes and gorillas on the beach. It's as crazy as it sounds. I will link it down below. You should check it out. So in that vlog, I briefly mentioned that I had broken my hand and it was starting to bother me again. And you guys were so sweet and you reached out and you wanted to know how I broke my hand because I did mention that I broke it on an airplane. Full disclosure, I am in the bathroom. I dragged the office chair into here. This is the only place in the hotel that I'm at where the lighting is like semi-decent. And my setup just like totally fell into the sink. I'm glad it wasn't full. My phone would have been destroyed. So now I just have to hold my camera and chat to you guys that way. So sorry for like the choppiness going on at the beginning of this video. Okay, so in the blog that I was referencing earlier, I did mention that I broke my hand on the last flight that I ever worked as a corporate or as a commercial flight attendant. And at that time, I didn't know it was gonna be my last flight as a commercial flight attendant. So let's get into the story. It was May 30th. A Tuesday. Actually, I have no idea what date it was, but it was May 30th. Could have been a Tuesday. No one really knows, unless you look at a calendar from 2018. So back to it. May 30th of 2018, I sign in, I do all of my pre-flight requirements, and we start the boarding process. I was working a flight to San Jose, California, staying the night and then flying back to base the next day. So I was the #1 position on the plane, which means I was the greeter, I was the first flight attendant that people see when they get onto the plane. I also worked very closely with both of the pilots on this flight. So our captain comes on, I introduce myself, hey, I'm Jacqueline, great to meet you. And he says, I'll be watching you. What? Naturally, I thought I must have flown with this guy. I probably did something stupid. Oh my gosh, is this gonna be a long trip? I was internally freaking out, like what rumor did this guy hear about me? I'm generally always professional at work, like what could have happened? Why is he coming on board and telling me that he'll be watching me? So I try to crack a joke like, oh, haha, probably a good idea, Captain. And he goes in the flight deck and just starts plugging away at whatever the pilots do up there. He comes out of the flight deck and he goes, no, I actually really will be watching you. And so I asked him, like, do I know you? Like, did I do something? And he just leaves me hanging. So during boarding, I have such anxiety, like, OMG, what is going on? Like, what is happening? What is my life? So he leaves me hanging for a bit and he's finally like, hey, by the way, I know you applied for a corporate flight attendant position. My wife is a scheduler at this company. Okay, great, mystery solved, but also not great because I had no real plans on leaving my job. I was just trying a corporate contract flight down to Colombia. I told you guys about that flight. I can post that one down below too. So yeah, small world in aviation. So it turns out his wife was a scheduler of a trip that I was trying to contract on. So now I'm even more nervous working this flight because I'm like, great, I already feel like I'm not qualified to be a corporate flight attendant. Now I have this guy watching me, like I need to be on my A+ game. So I was on my A+ game all for boarding until boarding was over and the caterers brought up the 24-pack of water that I requested because we were running pretty low and I didn't want to run out of water for our passengers on the flight. So catering brings up the water, they offer to walk it to the back. I'm like, oh, no worries, like I got this, I'll carry it to the back, no big deal. Pass through the cabin, make sure everyone's okay before we shut the boarding door and we get out of here. So the caterer transfers the 24-pack of 1-liter bottles to me. I start carrying it down the narrow airplane aisle and the next thing I know, I am losing grip and they are falling out of my hands. So I went to catch it with my right hand because I'm a right-handed person, that's my dominant hand. And instead of getting a good grip on the water bottles, I just completely snapped my hand back and boom, I break my bones. And at the time, I just thought, oh my God, this hurts really bad. I can't believe water could be like so painful. I actually didn't know my hand was broken. So I brought the waters to the back and I was like massaging my hands and the two girls who were working in the back were like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, like I caught the water kind of weird. My hand is bothering me, but whatever, like we'll chat later. We've got to prepare for takeoff. So I go to the front after dropping the water off and I strap into my jump seat and we taxi out, we take off. I'm doing my 30-second reviews in my head. If you're not in the aviation industry, you just repeat what your commands are in case you have an aborted takeoff or anything goes wrong. And then when I'm done with that, I look down at my hand and it is gigantic and turning black and like not normal looking at all. So 10 minutes into the flight is generally when flight attendants are cleared to get up. We get a signal from the flight deck saying it's okay. So 10 minutes goes by, I get up and I go to the back and I tell the girls, you know, I think I may have really hurt my hand after all, like take a look at it. And the look on their faces were kind of priceless. I made them sick. I disgusted them. And one of the girls I was flying with was a former paramedic, and she instantly let me know that my hand was broken. So I started the flight before the door even closed with a broken hand. That's not a fun day at work. My crew was amazing, and they did all of the service for me. They did trash. I did a few compliance walkthroughs because I didn't want to sit on that long of a flight all the way out to California. So I made sure that passengers were buckled when they needed to be, or I just passed through the cabin to make sure everything was going good. But generally, I did nothing for that flight but sit on the jump seat in the back of the airplane. Now here's where things get kind of tricky in this situation. All of the flight attendants wanted to call the captain to tell him that I broke my hand. Me and the captain have this little secret that I applied for a new job, contract gig, as a corporate flight attendant, and I didn't want to ruin my chances on that. So I was adamant about not letting the captain know quite yet, because maybe like my hand wasn't broken, it just hurts and is like really bruised. We don't need to get the captain involved. So didn't want people at work to know that I was applying for different positions because I really had no intention. I liked the company that I flew for. I didn't know I was gonna leave. I had no intentions of leaving. This was just for real a fluke thing that I applied for, and obviously I got it, but in the time I was like, no one at work needs to know about this. The captain for sure doesn't need to know about this. He's gonna tell his wife, she's gonna tell the company I have a broken hand. I'm never gonna have a chance again. So we're not telling the captain. Well, of course we had to tell the captain because my hand was clearly very broken. So towards the end of the flight, we let him know we're gonna need paramedics for the flight attendant with a broken hand. And oh God, it was so awful. So we land, we get to the gate, the captain makes an announcement, please stay seated, we have medical personnel coming on board. And then the passengers start stirring because they want to know what's going on. No one made an announcement that we need medical personnel, like we need assistance. So they're all looking around, they're talking amongst themselves, like what happened on this flight? Like it seemed pretty uneventful. The paramedics come to the back of the plane and meet me. Now that's embarrassing enough, but it gets worse. The paramedics take me off the plane first, and they're evaluating me in the boarding area. So as all the passengers get off, they get to watch me be assessed by the paramedics. They already saw me walk off the plane because I was in the back with a safety information card splinted around my hand, tied up with my scarf to keep it in place. We made a makeshift splint. So this is the second time that the passengers are all staring at me. And then it still gets worse. The paramedics are like, okay, we're gonna take you to the hospital. And they have me get on the gurney stretcher, okay? I say, my legs aren't hurt, my feet are not hurt, like my hips are not hurt, I can totally walk. Not good enough, they were afraid I might trip. And obviously that was a valid concern because clearly I am very clumsy. But I had to get on a stretcher and be seatbelted in and pushed through the airport into the ambulance. And do you think we just went like any route through the airport? Oh no, my friends. We went right to baggage claim, right where my passengers were picking up their bags. So that was the third time passengers got to see me in a pretty embarrassing situation. So I'm wheeled out. We had to take an ambulance to the hospital in San Jose, California, and they do an x-ray. They confirm my bones are broken in my hand. They put me in a cast. It's a temporary cast. The portion that covered like my pinky to my wrist was hard. This way I couldn't move my hand like this. And the rest was soft and just tied up until I got back home and did some more testing. So that is how I broke my hand on an airplane. And it was months of physical therapy, and in between that time, I did interview for that corporate contract flight down to Colombia that I was telling you about. I showed up with a broken hand. My hand was in a cast, and I thought for a minute, I'm taking this cast off, like I don't care how bad it hurts, I want this job. But my friends, the cast could not come off. So I walked in to an interview with a broken hand and a cast on my hand for a job where you need all your limbs to work. Luckily enough, there was still enough time between my physical therapy, the cast coming off, and the flight actually leaving for me to fully heal. So my timing was impeccable as far as, good things coming out of broken bones. That's pretty much in a nutshell how I broke my hand, why that was my last flight as a commercial flight attendant, and how I got into the corporate flight attendant world. So I hope you enjoyed that story, living all of my embarrassing going through the airport on a stretcher moments. But yes, that's how I broke my hand. Generally, it's okay. Every once in a while, it still bothers me, so I am going to start physical therapy again for it. My grip strength, this is what I talked about in the poached eggs on airplanes video. My grip strength is just not what it used to be. It starts hurting after a while, and I find myself like massaging my hand all the time. Not normal, not comfortable. It's probably never going to be the same because it broke, but I think it could feel a heck of a lot better than it currently does. So I am starting physical therapy again soon for my hand. And there you have it. Story time is over. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your original concern about my broken bones. Thank you for liking, and thank you for subscribing. I'm sure if you're not a subscriber, you've hit subscribe after watching this video. If you guys have questions, comments, thoughts, or concerns, post them down below. We'll chat soon. Thanks for coming by, guys.